get straight into it. BHP Billiton out just in the last few moments. Julia Lee, the headline figure at least, I think it was about 11.8, well, a miss on consensus forecasts.
It is a miss. If we have a look at where consensus stood, it was at $12.6 billion US dollars, but we did see an underlying profit result of $11.8 billion dollars. So that's a miss, down by 31%. And I guess that was to be expected. We were expecting to see a big drop in the underlying profit because we have seen commodity prices decreasing. In fact, copper prices are down 6% in the past year, iron ore prices are down 21%, and coal prices are down 30%. So that's really what's been putting BHP Billiton's business under pressure. A final dividend of 59 cents has been declared, and I guess that's a little bit disappointing to some Australian investors given their large franking balance, but not unexpected. That is in line with consensus, and that's because BHP Billiton has a large number of overseas investors to cater for. And of course, they don't want franking credits. Well, they can't really use the franking credits. So the UK investors, the US investors, the franking credits really doesn't do anything for those type of investors. One of the things we were watching was capital expenditure, and that's because capital expenditure had been forecast at around about $18 billion. But today we've heard that the Jansen project, $2.6 billion will be spent on that potash project in Canada. So that's been announced today. And I guess if we have a look at some of the separate divisions and how they've stacked up, I guess one of the bigger divisions is the petroleum. And really with BHP Billiton's result, we watched the iron ore result and we watched the petroleum result. We have a look at the petroleum result. That's the EBIT's coming at $5.65 billion. That's including the potash assets. We were expecting to see $6 billion, so a slight miss coming in there. And of course, the other big number that we're watching is the iron ore. If we have a look at iron ore, the EBIT's coming at $11.1 billion, broadly in line with expectations. We were expecting to see $11.5 billion there. Some of the areas which did outperform was aluminium, magnesium and nickel. We actually saw a positive EBIT there, and we were actually expecting to see a negative. Copper broadly in line, $3.6 billion. We were expecting to see $3.8 billion there, but altogether that headline number weaker than expected. The numbers have just dropped, so it's a little bit difficult going through all the divisions at the moment, but it does look like the big fall that we've seen in commodity prices contributing to that 31% fall in the underlying profit result. And the other big thing in the announcement is a $2.6 billion spend that they've announced on Canada's Jansen potash project.
Tonight during the London session and for us tomorrow.
To trade on that headline result. It has been a weaker session for BHP during the Asian session. We did see BHP shares falling 1.4% here in Australia, and that's really because of the tapering costs, but the fact that they have missed expectations means that we're likely to see BHP dropping in London as well as in the US. I guess in terms of BHP's longer term strategy, BHP really showing in this result that it is not focused in on the short term but the long term. I mean, this $2.6 billion investment in the Jansen potash project is just an example of that. Recently we've seen potash prices absolutely plummeting because of the European cartel falling apart, and really there's two cartels which control potash prices, the European cartel as well as the North American cartel, and really that company that broke that cartel in Europe said that potash prices could fall 25%, and of course based on prices falling 25%, the Jansen potash project would not make sense. It'd have a negative net present value based on potash prices being down 25%. So obviously BHP Billiton seeing potash prices recovering in the medium to long term. Also talking about oversupply in the aluminium as well as the nickel markets, which are expected to continue. However, natural gas demand in the US remains relatively strong, and also copper, while it's in the short term it may come under a little bit of pressure, in the long term BHP Billiton does expect fundamentals to be the prime factor in determining prices. Same in the area of iron ore. It does expect supply coming online at the end of this year to have an impact short term on prices. However, long term the growth in East Asia should help that iron ore picture. So the outlook statement focusing in on the medium to long term despite the short term challenges, and I guess BHP in that Jansen project just demonstrating that it is focused in on the long term, and the fact that we didn't see a dividend exceeding market expectations as well.
How are they placed, Michael? I mean,